evening and welcome to Meticulous Moments. My name is Juanita Kapp. You can reach me at meticulousmacarons@gmail.com or find me on LinkedIn. Since the COVID-19 pandemic hit the globe, I've had the wonderful privilege to meet a wide array of fantastic individuals. These individuals have truly touched my life in so many positive ways. Amongst this group of people, there are authors, public speakers, life coaches, poets, leaders, and visionaries. They are the unsung heroes of our time. Therefore, I decided to start the Meticulous Moments movement out of a sense of my gratitude. It is my way of giving back to the community. Let us share and reshare their stories in an effort to build a better society. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Meticulous Moments podcast, where we facilitate community upliftment through leadership development. Today, we have the wonderful privilege of spending time with the amazing Cemone Rowe. She is an evangelist, she's a woman of hope, and she just loves to spread the love of God to people. I'm going to read a little bit more about Cemone. She writes, "My name is Cemone Rowe, aka Miss Unstoppable. I was born and raised in Montego, Jamaica, now reside in Toronto, Canada. I'm a mother, an international best-selling author, a humanitarian, motivational speaker, the CEO of the Unstoppable Movement, and an evangelist for God. My mission is to use my story to bring hope into the world and spread love wherever I go. I believe in supporting each other because together we are unstoppable." And to reach Cemone, you can email her at cemonerose@gmail.com. Her number is 647-501-3894. I had such a wonderful interview with this special woman. You will just feel the presence of God while we speak, and really just that the personality of hers that shines through and everything that she stands for is completely phenomenal. Thank you so much for joining us for this session. And with that, we give over to our amazing, beautiful and wonderful Cemone Rowe. I hear the Hadidas in the background, only in Africa, right? Good evening, Meticulous Moments audience. Thank you so much for joining us for yet another enlivening session here at the Meticulous Moments podcast, where we facilitate community upliftment through leadership development. And today we have the wonderful privilege of spending time with the amazing Cemone Rowe. How are you, Cemone?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having me today.
It is such an honor to have you here at Meticulous. I'm so happy that we could make this happen. You and I have been in the same Zoom rooms. I believe we've been in the same summits, the same lives, and we really talked on Messenger. So I feel like I know you already. But for the audience members who have not been acquainted with you yet, would you like to just introduce yourself to them, please?
Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. So my name is Cemone Rowe, aka Miss Unstoppable. Many people call me that basically because of, the drive that I have. Despite everything that I go through, I'm not the kind of person that gives up. I'm the person that will always find a way to keep on going, right? Yeah. I'm also an author. I wrote 2 books, You Are Not Alone and The Power of Hope. I am a motivational speaker. I am the voice for the voiceless, right? So I'm also a woman advocate. I am a mother of 3 beautiful children, and they are one of the reason why I keep on going, because every day I want to live a life that they can be proud of me. I am an entrepreneur as well, and my business is called the Unstoppable Movement. That business is designed to, target the mind of individual. As a person that have gone through so much in my life, I've always, I reach a point in my life where I said, you know what, I'm living my life based on trying to see how I can help people. So with this movement, I design it so that I can help people to overcome struggles and things that they're going through. And those are just a few of the titles that I carry, the hats that I wear. One of the most important one though, and I leave that one for last, is that I am an evangelist, right? And I evangelize about the goodness of God, the grace of God, you know, the things that God is able to do in our life. Because I strongly believe that if it wasn't for God, Cemone Rowe, aka Miss Unstoppable, will not have been here today.
Yes. I love that you're a woman of faith and God gives you all these talents and abilities. And yes, I agree with you. You know, when God is on our side, we do really become unstoppable. And I picked
Amen.
that up really early in our conversations, you know, that you don't give up. And just to say, you know, you and I have a lot in common because my favorite song is Unstoppable by Sia. I always put that in my biography, and my favorite hashtag is never give up. So I really, I think it's amazing that we are on different sides of the world, and you know, God's Spirit brings the same things in us, and He really just puts that drive in us to keep going. So thank you so much for telling us about that. You know, you're an author as well. That is fantastic. And would you like to share a little bit about your books before we go into the next question? What are they about, and how do we get a hold of them?
Okay, thank you so much. You know, I just want to add real quick, I am so grateful that we're connected. And as you said, you know, God does work in mysterious way. You're all the way over there, I'm all the way over here. But guess what? The spiritual connection, it is undeniable. You know, my first book is called You Are Not Alone, A Mother's Journey. And that book was born out of the death of my son. So my son passed away, and through that tragic moment, I've always had people on the journey. They've been watching what I was going through and the journey, fighting depression, going through so much by myself, raising 2 kids while I was pregnant, and, you know, going through all this by myself. And I always have people saying that you're such a strong person. You know, your faith is remarkable, all these things. And I saw that it was inspiring so many people. So I decided to capture the journey, right? And I capture it and I put it in a book. What better way to, you know, live out my son's legacy, but to have his memory being alive, and that's through the book, right? Not only that, but it's able to help so much people. As I wrote the first book, now I was inspired to continue, keep on going, right? And that's how the second book come about. The Holy Spirit said to me, you know, you need to write something about hope, because a lot of people right now, they have lost hope. And this is something that we need to ignite. You know, we need to ignite with hope, allowing people to know that despite what they're going through, despite the things that's happening, they can still have hope and they can still make it through.
Absolutely true. So you're spreading that hope, you're spreading that encouragement. And I mean, you and I both know there are things that happen in the world. COVID was a big movement, a big pandemic. You know, a lot of things happened. And this is now the time where we need to encourage and uplift and bring that hope that you're spreading. Whichever way you are doing it, I mean, you evangelize, you do your book. I know you're online, you're doing this interview, for instance. All of that culminates to a movement, the Unstoppable movement, where you are bringing that. And I love the fact that you always give God the glory, and that you're just an amazing individual. And I would love for you to tell the audience what's your backstory. You know, how did your leadership journey start?
My backstory is from being raised from a single mother, right? I grew up in a home with a single mom raising 8 of us by herself, right? And anyone who have been a single parent, or anyone who knows a single parent, you know that that takes great leadership for you to do that. right? And I branched off when I came to Canada and I started my first job. I was a manager in a restaurant, right? And within that within that setting, I was able to develop so many things, so many qualities, right? That was able to help me to become a better leader, which means that, I was able to lead like 15 to 20 crew members every single day. Now, when we think of leadership, it means that you have responsibilities. It means that you have to be accountable, right? And all of these things come into play. And, I really enjoy being a leader. I believe I was born as a natural leader because I've always been a person that likes to take initiative. I like to be the one that's going to be standing out and all of these things, So with being a leader, I believe that it comes with lots of great responsibility, but it's a lot of work.
Yes.
It does come with a lot of work, but I don't know, like leading my employees, I developed such a great relationship with them. And to be honest, even today, over 15 years of leaving that job, I am still connected to a few of them. They still remember, me being their boss. Even some of them still call me boss. I'm like, no, I'm like, they always be like, Cemone, you were the best manager that we have. Not necessarily that we're trying to, make you feel bigger or anything, but the way that you care about us, the compassion that you have towards us, the fact that you can listen to us, the fact that you empathize with us, the fact that you build a relationship with us, the fact that you never once allow us to feel like we are beneath you, but you always let us feel like we're equal to you. So that's something that they always admire about me.
Beautiful. Love that. Absolutely love that. Now, that's where we started. That's where your leadership journey started. I would love to know, where are you headed? What do you see in the future? What would you like to do still as a leader? Because I know you, and we're going to talk about it, a few of the things that you're busy with. You're a very busy lady. So where is this leadership journey heading?
I have to live up to my name, Miss Unstoppable. I have so many of my friends. Usually they'll be like, Sumo, do you ever sleep? Sumo, do you ever stop? I remember a few of my friends. One of them, I call her my twin sister. She always say, you're an energizer bunny, because you never stop. You just keep on going. But to be honest, I see myself right now. I'm at a place where I'm developing a team. We call ourselves Team Unstoppable. I am working on developing a team, and what we are working towards is impacting life in a positive way. We want to get people to change their mindset of the way that they look at things, the way that they approach things. Because me, as a person that I've gone through so much in my life, I never had anyone that really taught me the way that I need to go about certain things. So I would have been stuck in life thinking that, you know what, I don't have the ability to do certain things. I can't do this. But now I'm at a point in my life where I've developed the mindset of being unstoppable. And now I want to teach people, how do you have an unstoppable mindset? It's not something that, you just get up and say, I am unstoppable. Sometimes you go through certain things and that builds you into who you're supposed to be. I believe your storms create you into the person that God has created you to be. And I'm talking that from experience. I didn't just born and say, unstoppable. It's the things that I've gone through, the things that I was able to overcome, the hurdles that I jump each and every day, because even today, as I wear the title so proudly, Miss Unstoppable, there are days that I'm down, but each and every time I have to, I have to motivate myself. I had to encourage myself and say, listen, don't you remember who you are? Get up and let's go. Sometimes you have to be your self motivator. Sometimes you have to push your own self. You might not have people to do it, but I'm going to be teaching people to do these things. And I see myself all over the world. I have big visions. I have big dreams. I have, there's no limit when I think about life. You know, I think about life. I'm gonna be all over the world, and I'm talking to people, and I'm encouraging people, and I'm motivating people. I am, you know, helping people to be the best them in this world.
Yeah. Absolutely. So you are continuing with this driving force, full speed ahead, and with that wonderful mindset that nothing is impossible. And you mentioned something. You mentioned two things. That's another two things we have in common. The one thing is I also grew up with a single mom, so I understand completely what you mean. And I really think that's why you and I turned out to be strong women, because we
Amen.
know what it's like. We know what
Yes.
it's like, but God used that for His good. And then the second thing is, yes, a lot of people always ask me, Juanita, when do you sleep? Because we always see you busy with this and busy with that, and I hear they do the same for you. So that's another thing, our energies match. That's wonderful.
I love that. I love it. I love it. I believe God makes no mistake.
Amen, amen. We'll see great things coming from this connection.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Now, leadership qualities very important. There's a million of them. Which ones stand out for you? How would you describe, in your opinion, what's the perfect leadership qualities that someone can have?
As a leader myself, I believe that empathy is something that every leader should have. Always see yourself in the next person's shoes. Never ever think that you are better than that person, and always try to see how you can, I believe that respect and empathy, it's two of the key things that I think about. A lot of times, because of where a person is in their life, or because you have a certain role or title, you just feel that you have so much, power over them. And sometimes we take it to our head. Yeah. We would say in Jamaica, right? We would say, them take it to them head, right? Yeah. And they would treat you a certain way. They would behave a certain way around you because they don't think that you are worthy, right? And even when you're going through certain things, they are not empathetic about what you're going through, because they just think of you as just a worker, or, just somebody that, that's working for them, or whatever the case might be. But for me as a leader, I want to be someone who is understanding, right? I want to be someone who is empathetic. I want to be somebody who can listen to whoever it is that I'm working with. I want to be someone who can be compassionate to whoever it is that I'm working with. But also, I want to be someone who is respectful. I believe that respect goes a long way. And I believe that what you give is what you get back. So if you treat whoever you're working with good, I believe that they will perform their best. And I know this for a fact, because as a person, I told you, as I was working in that industry, what I give out to my employees is what I got back in return, right? And those things don't just end there, because I told you, I have people that I'm still connected to, and they never forget how I treated them, right? So that is something that is very, very important as a leader. And as a leader, we have to have accountability. We have to learn how to be accountable for our behavior, our action, and whatever it is that we are putting out there. As a leader, you have a certain responsibility to withhold or to hold up. You have to make sure that you are leading people in the right way, that you are teaching them the accurate things. All of these things come into perspective.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And what's standing out for me is, leaders can duplicate themselves. So if we lead with that empathy that you do lead with,
yes,
we duplicate that in our followers, and they become leaders in their own right, and they duplicate that again. So I love that.
As you said that, I did miss that out. I was gonna say leaders are They are supposed to lead by example.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
That's the best quality they can have. I agree. Empathy, leading by example. And as you were speaking, I thought to myself, yes, leaders need to be able to copy and paste. We need to be able to duplicate, because what we are, we want to transfer to our followers, and we want our followers to become leaders themselves and make more
Exactly.
followers. Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much. Now, I mean, you and I are both in the spiritual space. We've both been in the corporate space. We are both entrepreneurs, and I'm sure you have seen the worst in leadership as well as the good and the best. So, firstly, what would you describe maybe a situation that was the worst display of leadership that you've ever seen before?
As I mentioned before, like I've worked for a few people, and a person with no empathy, a person with no compassion, a person that, have no respect, that think that you are below them. I believe those are some of the worst qualities any leader can ever have, right? Because for your employee to respect you, you also have to respect them, and what you give out, as I said, is what we get back in return. So as a leader, you have to make sure that you have respect. And I was working for a person, and, I'm a person, I put my heart into everything that I do. Like, I don't hold back into what I do for others, because I believe that, you should always give your best in everything that you do. So when I was working for this person, regardless of the fact that I wasn't getting enough pay for what I was doing, it did not really matter, because it wasn't about the money. It was about the impact that I was making, right? But at the end of the day, they take advantage of you when they see that your heart is so pure and that you're willing to go above and beyond. And I think within a leadership role, that is something that you don't need to put out there. Right. So I remember one time I was on vacation in Jamaica, and I came back, and the day that I landed in the airport, my manager called me, and they're like, I don't have anybody to run the store today. Can you come in? And I'm like, I just landed off the plane, and they're like, oh, I don't know. Are you able to fill in for us? Whatever, without even hesitating, I said, okay, I go home and I get dressed or whatever, freshen up. And I was at work. And I remember even my mom called me that evening, and my mom is like, are you settling okay? And I'm like, oh, I'm at work. She's like, what? Because she's expecting me to be home. Right? So sometimes as leaders, you need to pay attention to what people are willing to sacrifice for you. Because I didn't have to do it, but I choose to do it. But at the same time, like, they still treat you like you're nobody. But because I was not there just for the pay, I was there for the impact. Whatever it is that, I was there for, override how they treat me, right? So with answering your question, I believe that, some of the worst qualities that a leader can have is not being empathetic to their employees, not being compassionate, and not having respect for them. Those things are very much needed. If you want the best from your employees or for whoever it is that you're working with, I believe that you have to also give them your best.
Always. Absolutely great answer. Thank you for that.
So going back into the same thing, I was working with a different manager, and that's how I knew that they had the worst qualities, and she has the best qualities, right? Because with her now, I remember there were times when, as a single mom, your school call or whatever, and she would be so empathetic. She would be so compassionate, and because of how she was, I was willing to do more. Even on my day off, I would be like, oh, do you want help? So as I'm saying, is the way you treat the people, it gives them that drive to want to do more for you. Right? And she was so respectful. You know, she wasn't the kind of person that looked down on anybody. I remember I'm even friends with her right now. You know, I always develop a relationship with whoever I work with. So right now, I remember I'm always making fun of her. I'm like, you remember times where at work and I feel like I was the boss and you were the employee, right? Because she was so down to earth. She was so, you know, she never thought that she was up here and the person was down here. You know, she always put herself in at the same kind of level like you, even though you can differentiate that she was the boss because she knows how to, you know, do whatever she does and everything. But my point is this: when a person is comfortable around you and when a person feel respected by you, it allows them to come out of whatever shell they're in. And not only that, but it allows them to shine. And she was the kind of person, like, she would teach you and she would give you the freedom to, you know, branch off on your own kind of thing. Because I remember even times when we were doing different things within the company, and she would teach me something and then she would say, you know, I believe in you, go ahead. You get what I mean? So leaders, as you said, they kind of like copy paste, right? So she knew what she needed to do, so she didn't have to go ahead and do it. She now give me the opportunity to actually be able to do that, right? And with that, now I can, you know, that even helped me to become a better leader that I am right now. Right? Because I get the opportunity to shine, right?
Yes.
So
that shine in
definitely
everyone.
with those qualities that she had, I definitely felt very much like, I felt like we were a family. You know, we were in the place working, but you felt that closeness in there because of how we treat each other, because of how we talk to each other, because of how we communicate, because of how we look out for each other. It wasn't even just like as a work. It was like, you know, it was like a family. So that's kind of something that we as leaders, we need to work on. Connection is so important when it comes to anything.
Absolutely true. I couldn't agree with you more. Communication is one thing, but connecting with someone is something else. We all can communicate on all ages, but connecting, really seeing into that heart and mind of the person. And thank you so much for your valuable insights there. I agree with you absolutely. And we should really get in a good place in our hearts when we work with people. We should really be focused on them. You know, and that's something that I realize that you do very well when you work with people. You really care about them. You really build relationship with them, and you know them, you know, by heart. And you guys share things, and that's how you reach out. So that's wonderful. Thank you very much for putting us in a space where we learn about the best and the worst of leadership. Now, you have a project. And you send barrels to other countries. I think you sent to Africa. You mentioned a few places the other day. Tell us more about that project and how can the audience, and that would be your next question, get involved? Because we are here, you know that saying, as we rise, we lift. We are here this evening to help you to rise to a new level, and we want to support you. How do we do that? And tell us about the project itself, please.
Okay, thank you so much for this opportunity. So this project is very dear to my heart. I started it in the midst of pandemic. So it was around, I was gonna mention it earlier, it was in 2020, the beginning of January, that I lost my son. So it was right before pandemic that he passed away. And then in March, when the pandemic came out, I felt like I was losing my mind to a certain extent. I needed something that can give me a sense of purpose, something that can allow me to say, you know what, I am doing something meaningful. So I remember I was praying to God and I was asking God, use me for your glory. Allow me to do something that's going to bring glory to you. Not about me, but about you. But at the same time, I want something that's going to keep my son's name alive. You know, keep his memories alive. And that was one of the darkest moments of my life. But at the same time, it was one of the most beautiful moments of my life, because it was during that time that I transformed from Cemone to Miss Unstoppable, right? So
Wonderful.
with that being said, you know, I was there and I remember I was looking around and I saw all these baby stuff and I'm like, what am I going to do with this? Because my son is gone. First instinct was to sell them, but I'm like, you know, what if somebody really need them? You know, it's not all about the money. Right. So then something spoke to my heart and it says, you know, why don't you bless somebody with it? Right. And then from there, it was like this. I don't know how to explain it. It was just like something just born, like something, like there was something in me that just wanted to come out. Right. And I remember I run out in the living room and I said, Mom, I'm going to be packing barrels. And my mom was looking at me like I'm crazy, because she's like, because that was like a month after I buried my son, because he died in January. I buried him in February. Right. And around that time, I was trying to do the barrels and stuff. And I remember I ran out to my mom and I said, Mom, I'm going to be packing some barrels. And, you know, she was thinking that I'm going cuckoo, because she's like, what are you talking about? Aren't you supposed to be resting? I said, no, I want to pack some barrels. I want to send them off to our people. So first thing is, she's like, where are you going to get the money from? I remember I look at her and I said, you know what? God will provide. And just like that, God did. I remember at my son's funeral, people were giving me envelopes with gifts. You know, they give you gifts or whatever, money, right? And I came home and I counted out and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be blessing back. I'm not going to take any of this money. I'm going to bless people with it. So I went out and I started packing, buying food. I start collecting clothing. I start doing all these things. And I remember I packed 2 barrels and I sent them off to Jamaica. And that was how it started. And to this day, 2 years, I send off 22 barrels.
Amazing work, incredible, unstoppable work right there. And it makes me think of that scripture where, you know, Paul says, we plant the seeds, but God brings the next person to water, or his spirit waters.
Amen.
And you are really planting seeds of positivity in every country that you're sending those barrels through. And that's just amazing. That's your unique approach, your unique way to do it. And people see God through you. People see God through you. Now, I wanted to ask you, what drives you? Yeah.
It's funny enough that you said that, because not only do I pack barrels, but I also take care of 7 seniors here. I do grocery shopping for them. I do cooking for them whenever I can. And, you know, I just always try to be there for others. And I remember many times that I would approach them. They will always say, Cemone, whenever you come, because I always have this big smile on my face. They're like, whenever you come, it's like there's a light with you. You know, it brings us comfort. And I remember one of my seniors, she'd always say, you know, you got a gift for helping others. It's like God has blessed you with a gift for helping others, you know, and every time that I'm doing what I'm doing, that always go back in my mind, you know, the things that people say to you and stuff like that. I do feeding mission as well here. And I do feeding mission in Jamaica as well. And I remember my very first feeding mission, I cooked soup for the people on the street, because it's winter. I wanted to give them something warm to drink. And I remember I cooked some Jamaican soup, you know, the Jamaican style soup. And I went out there and I, you know, I always pray over whatever I do. I brought it to them and they were there eating. And I remember one of the guys look at me and say, oh my goodness, I can feel the love in this. Like, he's basically saying that he can taste the love in what I do. And those things motivate me to keep on going. Those things encourage me to never stop doing what I'm doing, because it is making a difference. It's making an impact. It's not just about going out there, but what impact are you leaving on people? What impact are you making through what you're doing? Because the Bible does say let your light so shine before men, so that they may see your good work and glorify him. So I always say to people, whatever it is that you're doing, do it with love, do it with compassion, do it to the best of your ability, because you're not just doing it, but you're ministering. You're ministering to the people. Through what you're doing, they get to know that there is a God. You don't have to tell them that there's a God. Just by your presence, the way that you treat them, the way that you correspond with them, the things that you do for them, they will find God through you. So right now, I don't know if you want to see, but I am working so hard. I'm working so hard on my mission for Africa. I'm helping people now in Nigeria.
Wow.
There's a bunch of people that went through a flood, and someone reached out to me. And, you know, being a person that always packing barrel for Jamaica, I said, you know what? We are our brother's keeper. And love has no color. It has no race. It has nothing like that. Love is unconditional. Love is available to everyone. So I said, you know what? I'm going to see what I can do. And right away, I jump on it. So if you want, I can show you what I have so far. And I do have a few more people.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Yeah. Please share with us. I want to see.
I do have a few more people that says that they want to also assist. So I'm going to give you just a little tour, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
So let's see. How do I change the camera? Okay. So can you see?
Yes, I love it.
So those are food items I'm collecting. I literally make a room in my home, right? So those are shoes and stuff. Those are other stuff up there. And if you look here, lots of clothes. Clothes, shoes, food. And over here, I also have some more stuff here.
Wonderful.
Yes. So this is what I'm working towards right now.
I absolutely love that you are so busy with all the right things. So busy with all the right things. I'm so happy to see that there are still people who have that labor of love to help those in need. Absolutely phenomenal. And should the audience just reach out to you on DM if they want to get involved with the project? How do they get involved?
They can reach out to me on Facebook, or they can reach out to me on my phone number. I can leave my phone number and they can reach out to me there. There's different ways to reach out to me. They can reach out to me, my phone number, my email, Facebook, Instagram. It's so many different ways.
All over the place. It's wonderful. Wonderful. Spreading that sunshine, spreading that love. Amazing. Amazing. I'm going to follow you on Instagram. I'll go and look for you. I'm not on Twitter. I'm on all the platforms, but for some reason, I don't know. I don't do Twitter posts anymore, but I should.
No, I don't. And I'm not too much of a Instagram person either, but I go on there every once in a while. I'm more of a Facebook person.
Facebook's more like family, you know, it's your family. It becomes part of your framework. Love that. Disappointments are out there, Cemone. We can do what we can sometimes, and maybe we still get disappointed. Maybe we still don't make a goal. I worked with a lot of teams in the corporate world, and I always had to keep their morale high. And I realized that we don't always just face disappointments at work. Sometimes we have them at home, and we bring that energy into the corporate space, which is not good. How should leaders deal with disappointments, in your opinion?
I believe every leader should have an open mind to remember that, you know, at times things are not going to always work out the way that we expect it to work out. But I believe your approach is very important. You know, the way you look at situation and the way you allow that situation to impact you. I believe your mindset as a leader is extremely important. You know, many obstacles are going to arise. but the way you choose to deal with it determine whether or not you are a good leader.
Yeah,
That's what I strongly believe. I'm going to share a quick thing with you.
Yes, please
I'm
go
going
ahead.
to share a quick thing with you. When I started off with the Unstoppable movement, the same very month that I decided to launch, I lost two siblings 1 week apart. Right before my launching, my sister passed away first, then my brother died. I was at a point where I said, you know what? It feels like I just want to give up. But it's important when you're a good leader, or when you are a person that, as a public figure or whatever you want to call yourself, you always have at least one person in your corner who can have your back. Because I remember, as a leader, we don't always want to think that, we're always going to be up there. There's going to be days that you're going to be down. But when you have the right people in your corner, it does make a difference. This is why I say the way you treat people and the way you correspond with people is so important, because that will determine when you're down if they want to be there for you or not. So within that time period, I was at a point, I'm still a single mom. And that's what inspires a lot of people, because they're like, how can you be a single mother of two kids, a grieving mother, and at the same time, you're doing so much for other people? You are, doing your own business as well. You're an author. I write my own books, right? And they said, how do you do that? I'm a motivational speaker as well. So many different things. But what I want to say here is that I was at one of the dark place. At the point where I'm supposed to be celebrating, I was going into depression because my sister and my brother just died the same time that I wanted to launch my business. Nice. And I remember this one person was in my corner, not one person, but one person particularly. She said, Cemone, you did not come this far to just give up. You got to keep on going. So even as you are having the title of Miss Unstoppable, there's going to be days when you just feel like, you know what, this is it. But sometimes you need those people in your corner. And I remember I did the launch, even though I didn't want to do it, because my mind wasn't there, because I was focused on, the death of my two siblings. And when I did it, it was a big disappointment. I only had like 2 people that actually order that day. And I felt like, you know what, it's a failure. Yeah. I felt like this was it. I'm like, maybe it was a bad idea for me to even do this. But then I had to reprogram my mind. I said, Cemone, what are you talking about? Do you remember how much work you put into this? Oh, do you remember the fire that was in you when God gave you this dream, this vision? So you can't just let it die. So then I said to myself, you know what? Today it's not the best, but it's going to get better. Speak positive things over everything. And now I will tell you, right now I have people in Jamaica representing the Unstoppable movement. I have a team here in Canada representing the Unstoppable movement. I have people in the USA representing the Unstoppable movement. And I'm planning to branch off everywhere. But my key thing is disappointment did arise. But the way you allow it to impact you, the way you allow it to affect you will determine whether or not you're going to survive or you're going to let everything die. But it does make a difference when you don't try to do it by yourself. Always have at least one person that can be there to help you.
Yeah. Absolutely. I can't agree with you more. And, your values and your morals and everything that you stand for, really, I see what is not plain to see, and I read between the lines, and I hear and I see that your authenticity, your integrity shines through in everything that you do. And that's why when you bring this message, Everything that you said now was amazing. It was strong. It was victorious. It's encouraging, motivational. Yes. And that really shines through from your heart, because you don't do what you do for other reasons, but to bring upliftment. You really love. It's your passion.
Yes,
And I said to someone today in an interview, I said, authenticity as a leader doesn't just mean we attain, and that's what you've been talking about. Changing globally. You're going out. You're branching. You're networking, and it's just very important to know that authentic leadership, like you are displaying, and you are the perfect example. It's not something we just attain and then it's there. It's something we work at, but it has to be there
exactly.
before we can work on it. So finding that
You were
road
you were
is
born at
difficult.
times you were born with certain things, but it
Yes,
takes work to actually let it come to life, right?
perfectly said. Perfectly said. Yes, and maintaining that. Some
Yes,
people tell me, sometimes they tell me, once you're a believer, you're always a believer. And I've seen in the ministry that's not always the case. Sometimes people believe and then they kind of move away from the church. Doesn't mean that they're not children of God anymore. God loves everyone, of course. But with authentic leadership, you can't say once an authentic leader, always an authentic leader. You have to say that's the start. And then you work at that. You become real. You do introspection, and and I hear everything that you are saying, and what drives you. And I would like for you to tell me, what question would you like to answer next?
I believe I believe the last question would be like, what's the message I have for everyone?
Yes, we are left with your son tragedy, and I just want to know if you are comfortable branching out on that a little bit, and then what's
Yes, I
next for
am. Yes,
you.
I am.
Okay,
I'm at a place
if
of
you are
healing right
comfortable.
now. Yeah, there was a time when it was very hard for me to even talk
Okay.
about what was going on with him. But I believe that through what I'm doing right now, I find purpose in it. And I realize that this was all ordained by God. I
Yes.
believe that we all have to come to a place where we can accept what it is and
Yes.
don't try to change things that are already ordained. Allow it to be what it is, because my
Yes.
mom always said to me, I remember when I was going through the dark moments, my mom always said to me, God knows best. And that's something that I always take with me wherever I go. Whatever comes my way, I always say, God, you know best. So with my son, I go through something that was unthinkable. I went through a journey where I almost lost my life. So being here is not even by luck. It's not by might. It's not by power. It's only by the grace of God. And I strongly believe that He allowed me to go through that journey so that He can transform me into who He wanted me to be. Through your darkest moments at time, you will find the brightest light, because the light of God is there, but it's just up to you to focus on it. So I went through severe depression with the pregnancy with my son before he died. He was diagnosed with anencephaly. That is something that where the brain and the skull was not developed properly. And even though doctors told me that, there's no chance for him to live, zero chance of him living after he is born, or he could die before he was born, the love that I have for my child or my children and the fear that I have for God, I was not about to do any abortion. So I said to myself, I'm going to go through this process not knowing that was going to be my life-changing moment. I was told by many people, why don't you just take the short road? Why do you need to punish yourself? Why do you need to go through this? Why do you need to do something that you know that your son is not going to live anyway? I remember it was a very hard thing for me, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Just imagine a single mom raising two children by herself, being pregnant, being depressed, and at the same time, you have to keep on going. It took more than my strength. It was the strength of God that took me through it. And that's one of the reasons why I wrote that book, You Are Not Alone, A Mother's Journey. Because in that moment, I felt like I was alone doing everything. But the truth is, there was someone else with me. God was with me all along. You see, the saying is true. The saying is true. You will never know how strong you are until being strong is all you got. And the saying is also true. God gives his hardest battles to his strongest soldiers. And I strongly believe that I am a soldier of God. The faith that I withstand, doctors, every single week I go in there, said, do you know that you have the option to abort him? I said, I know, but that's not my choice. I said, I'm going to keep going with my son until God decides that this is the end of his road. I'm not going to be the one that's going to take his life. God will be the one that's going to determine how far he's going to go. And I went through that journey. And I'm telling someone today that when you are obedient, when you trust God, when you put your faith in him, and when you allow God to lead you, you come out victorious. Because in the end, I started off doing everything by myself. Mm-hmm. But when you read the book, you will realize that along the way, God brought people into my life. Mm-hmm. And those people that God bring into my life, majority of them are still my chosen family today. Yeah. Those are the people that become Team Unstoppable today. So if you look at it, everything was ordained. Mm-hmm. But for it to play out, I had to keep on going. I had to ride out that storm. I had to not give up. And many of us, we miss out on what God has in store because along the way we get weary. Along the way we get tired, we get frustrated. Along the way we get discouraged because so many people were telling me, don't go through with this, but I had to follow my heart. I had to follow what God has put in my heart. And I'm so thankful that I did. It was one of the darkest moments for me. But at the same time, it was a life-changing moment for me. Because through that, I fulfilled my purpose or my dream as becoming an author. Through that, I was able to start the foundation for my son. Through that, I was able to start this movement. So all out of the death of my son, the death of my son gave birth to so many different things, including me, because from his death, I have transformed from just Cemone Rowe now to Miss Unstoppable. So when you look at it, you know, not every tragedy is bad. Some of them, they can transform your life if you allow it to do that. Depression is real, but so is God.
Oh, I like that. Yes, absolutely. Depression is real, but so is God. Ooh, and we know everything out there is under his feet. You know, and it's amazing to see how you ignite other people. You have the story, you have this history that you've gone through. It has made you stronger. It has made you wiser. When I listen to you, I hear wisdom coming out, and it's also propelled you to be committed to not give up. And some people just take the easy route out. They don't want to go on, and I'm sure they look back later in their lives and they think, we should never have given up. We should have just gone on. So,
you know, as you mentioned that, I want to add something real quick. You know, the regret You know, many people, even at my son's funeral, they could not understand why I did not cry at my son's funeral. They could not understand why I never broke down during the service, at the burial, everything. But one thing I say to people is that when you do the right thing, you have no regret. I knew that I did everything that I could as his mother. I loved him for as long as I could. I fought for his right to live, even though many people were thinking that he did not deserve to live because he's going to die anyway. But as his mother, I fought through all of that. And in the end, I knew that whatever it is that happened at the end, it was beyond my control. That was between that was a decision that God has made to say, this is the end of my son's journey. So I did not have any regrets. So at the end of the day, I did not have anything to eat me up. And that's what you're talking about. A lot of people, they make sudden decision, but in the end, they go back and they regret everything. They said, I wonder if I could have done it this way. You know, I should have not do this, but I did not have any of those regrets because I knew I did everything that a mother could have done for his son or for her son. I can't say for his son, for her son. Right? So at the end of the day, when you do the right thing, then there is no regret. There's nothing for you to go back and it's going to eat you up alive, or it's going to, you know, have you going through so much emotion. I did not have to go through all of that because I ride out my storm.
Absolutely phenomenal to hear your heart, to put a voice to this unstoppable movement. To see that when tragedy strikes, it's not always just the end of the road. It's just the beginning of unearthing something amazing. And I commend you on giving him the chance to have that chance to be alive, you know, and not listening to all the other opinions. And you speak out of your pain, but your message is clear. And your message is hopeful. And that's really what's transforming. And Team Unstoppable is a powerful movement, let me tell you.
Yes,
watch this space.
powerful.
Watch this space. Definitely. I see that it unleashed in you, you know, the qualities that you have to really transform lives. And that is something commendable. You could have been depressed and just, you know, given up and never even take up these reins of leadership. But instead you said, that's not your legacy. That's not what you're going to do. You're going to take the bull by the horns and you are going to flip the script and do something amazing with what has been dealt to you. So I commend you on that. My sincerest condolences, of course.
Thank you.
But I know that he's in a wonderful place and that you will see him one day. And I'll meet him also, and then we'll talk about the day that you and I had our interview, and we'll discuss.
Awesome.
So
I can't wait to meet you in January.
Yeah, I mean, Cemone, you know, you and me in the same building, in the same room, you know, networking with each other and with people. It's going to be interesting, and it's only a few days left. Yeah. Looking forward to that, absolutely. And, you know, it's part of our growth as well. I'm taking you know, there's a lot of things here in South Africa going on, and I met Emilia a few months ago. I actually said to someone just before you and I got on our call, I said to someone, I never thought that one virtual coffee that I had with Emilia could 6 months down the line have come to what it is today. You know, all the networking I've done, all the people I've met, and one connection, one divine move of God, one Kairos moment, one door that opens can change your life. And if you don't open that door, if you don't take that chance, if you don't have that faith, if you give up before you can even go through it, you'll never know. So what I love about your movement and about you as an authentic leader with integrity is the fact that you encourage people never to give up. And that is
Amen.
something that we need. We need it. I mean, you've been to the deepest, darkest places, but you came out and you rose from those ashes, and now you
Yes.
are igniting people. So I'm very blessed to know you. Thank you for crossing my path. It's amazing.
I'm honored to meet you as well.
Thank you so much. And if you hear any dogs
Yes,
barking in
I
the
do.
background, it is 12 a.m. here in South Africa. So I'm not recording from my office. I'm at home. And I guess there is something outside that's got the animals all rallied up. So we do live in Africa, you know, so it's a bit wild.
I understand.
Thank you so much. Now, you do constant training. You know, what type of training do you do in your personal and professional capacity, and how do you suggest leaders go about that?
I believe you should always be eager to learn more because, you know, in this life, there's always room for learning. Like, no one knows everything. I believe your connection is extremely important, right? So I always try to do different courses, you know, to self-educate myself whenever I can. I get connected with people that I find inspiring and people that I find that are very, you know, educational, that I can learn from, you know, and that's how I build myself as a leader, you know. And one day I hope to have like a mentor as well, right? Where, you know, mentorship is extremely important as well, you know, because a lot of things that you don't see, people can see differently, you know, people have different, you know, way of thinking, people have different way of looking at things and so forth. You know, there's a saying in Jamaica, 4 eyes are better than 2, right? Because what I miss, you might see it, you know, and 2 head is better than 1, you know, because, you know, my way of thinking is not your way of thinking. And at the end of the day, you know, your strength could be my weakness and my weakness could be your strength. So it's good for you to collaborate, right? So yeah, that's what I believe.
I love that, and I agree with you. I absolutely love that. You know, sometimes we need that extra opinion and those extra insights just to guide us on the right path. So, thank you very much for that. My next question would be, what is next for you? How can we support you in what you are doing? I know the boot camp is next for both of us. What
Yes,
else is
I'm
doing
excited
there
for
in
that. I'm
Canada?
so excited for that. I'm also looking forward to enter the speaker competition. I
Ooh,
I'm very passionate about speaking and impacting, and you know, and I feel like I do have a powerful story that needs to be shared, right? So I'm looking forward to entering that, and I'm looking forward to meet a lot of you guys at that boot camp. And you know, I'm looking forward to do all of this for Africa. And you know, I don't know, I have so many things that I want to do. You know,
yeah.
I'm working on my third book, right? That
Wow.
will be coming out sometime next year, right? Plus many other things that I want to work on.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. Absolutely. I can just see next year, you know, being just, of course, with the boot camp, kicking it off in high gear and networking with everyone. So that's amazing. And I know you are going to grow and scale, and we are already proud of what you are doing. And we appreciate your time. We appreciate your wisdom and your experience. You are just a phenomenal person, and
Thank
we'll
you.
be unstoppable together. I love that. We're both
Yes.
single mothers as well. We both grew up with single moms. There's so many nuances that are the same. So I'm thankful to have you as my sister in Christ. And that brings
Yes.
me to my last question. What are your words of wisdom to the audience?
Whew. My word of wisdom is basically to believe in yourself. You know, many people are going to tell you who you should be, what you can do, what you can't do. But, you know, I always say to people, you have the power. You
True.
have the power to make decisions for yourself. You have the power to go as far as you want to go. You have the power to do so many things. And I strongly believe that when you believe in yourself and you believe in who He is, who God is, you know, there is nothing that you cannot accomplish. Because if I can be a single mother, a grieving mother, and I can accomplish so many things, and no, I'm not even close to what I need to accomplish yet. I have so many other things that I still want to accomplish. So do not allow anyone to limit you. Do not allow, listen, I always say, it's not what people say about you, it's what you choose to believe. So a
Yes.
person can say anything about you, but you give them the power when you believe what they're saying if it's not true, right?
I love
So
that.
with you having the power, when people say something about you, people say something to you and it's not true, it does not, you know, ignite with you, you have the power to just say, you know what, thank you so much for your opinion, but guess what? I know who I am already, you
You're
know?
getting
So
it.
so at the end of the day, I want to leave a message of hope to everyone. I want to leave a message of love to everyone. I want you to love yourself enough to know that you deserve the best in life. God has created you. He has designed you to be great in this life. And the only thing that can stop you, believe it or not, is yourself. You might think that there's so many obstacles out there. There's so many people out there that can stop you. Yes, they can be a barrier, but you can overcome that barrier. Nothing is impossible when you believe in God. And if I can do so much,
Yes.
being in the position that I was and that I'm in right now, that I know that you are capable of doing it as well. So today, I want you to leave here saying, I can and I will. And I want you to believe it. You can do whatever it is that you want to do, and you will do it if you choose to do it.
Wonderful, wise words of wisdom from someone who's been there. You've done that. You've got the t-shirt, and now you live to inspire people and just, you know, just do amazing things. We are going to network with you. We are going to follow you on social media as the Meticulous Moments audience, and we are going to share your content and cheer you on this wonderful leadership journey that you are on. So I just want to say thank you very much for the words of wisdom, for answering every single question on point. You're amazing. I can't wait to hear you speak in the speaker competition. It's going to be lovely.
You're motivating me even more to actually enter.